What's up, guys? This is Mike Loris with another set from the Premier League Season 4. This is going to be between Team Liquid on the Radiant and Team Dignitas on the Dire. Now, I'm just going to go on record right away, kind of like the last game, and say I love the Liquid brand. I follow their StarCraft team, big fans of them, and I'm also big fans of their Dota team because these guys are pretty darn good. Team Dignitas, though, they're very impressive as well. I do enjoy watching them play as well. They're ex-Bottom Bottom. So it's PB versus, what was it, Complexity? Was it Complexity? I think it was. With Team Liquid Squad. But regardless, these two teams are both very solid, so we're going to be seeing them going up against each other in a best of 3. We'll see what happens. So right off the bat, we see the ban of Keeper of the Light Nyx as well as Wisp being more standard bans, where the CK kind of not so much. It's a hero that is picked rather commonly, but typically there are more important heroes to ban out, such as the Batrider, which Team Dignitas will instantly snatch up. Team Liquid going to respond to that Batrider with Undying as well as a Tinker. Undying is definitely a very strong hero at this stage of the game. He could destroy tri-lanes or even act in a tri-lane with his allies to a very, very successful degree. But Tinker as the secondary pick, that's going to have Team Dignitas stop for a second and really ask themselves what Liquid is planning with this build, because Tinker, if you do see him, it's going to be in the 4th or 5th spot, but chances are if you jump into a game of Dota, you're not going to be seeing the Tinker. Into a game of professional Dota, you're just not going to be seeing the Tinker because, well, he needs to get those boots of travel, and when he's going to be going up against the likes of Batrider, most likely in the mid lane, it's going to be a little bit difficult for Tinker because he is a very soft hero. If you close the gap and pick him off, he doesn't really have many defense mechanisms besides this 100% miss rate from laser. So we're going to see what Team Dignitas actually want to do to stop this Tinker, or if that's even going to change the game plan at all. I feel like it is because they're just burning into a lot of their reserve time for these two picks. But with the Batrider, they already have a very, very solid base from which to build their team. They're going to go for Templar Assassin, actually. Ooh, that is a very, very good pick, considering the circumstances. And Batrider probably, before Team Dignitas saw the Tinker, thought that the Batrider would most likely go mid. That's the role that you usually see Batrider in. Of course, you occasionally will see him go into the hard lane, but he definitely excels in that mid lane role just because he could dominate the enemy and at the same time control the runes extraordinarily well. And Team Dignitas is going to deviate from that plan, if that was ever their plan, and put the TA into their lineup. Combine that with a Lifestealer, which I will get to in just a little bit, but the TA is a big pickup because Tinker is very much so a bursty hero in the mid lane. The laser and the missile, those both hurt. And even if the Tinker does go for a March build, the TA is going to be mitigating a lot of the dangerous spells. The March will keep TA away from the creep wave, but at the same time, Tinker doesn't actually have enough mana to support continuous spam of that. So TA is going to find these small pockets of time where Tinker can't actually do anything to keep the TA off of him. Team Dignitas is also going to pick up the Lifestealer, so they do have a lot of damage right now on their team. That Lifestealer pick is really one of the most common carry heroes, if not the most, with the Gyrocopter. I'd say Gyrocopter, Lifestealer, and now maybe PL. Becoming the most popular of carry heroes. The Magic community is going to be absolutely huge for him. As Undying, as well as Tinker, will have some problems with that. And, well, Team Liquid, they've picked up not exactly the tankiest of heroes. Undying is could be pretty tanky, but Lifestealer doesn't really care how much health you have because of that percentage damage. Team Liquid going to cap off their first picking phase with their Gyrocopter. That is going to be their carry of choice. We're probably going to be seeing him lane with the Undying in some sort of way. And, well, Team Dignitas, they do have their options fairly wide open. They do have some primary farmers, and their lanes are looking rather predictable. However, just because they're predictable doesn't actually mean they're bad because, well, their laning is very, very strong at the moment. Lifestealer, the very, very potent slow with open wounds, could pair up with pretty much any support hero very, very well. And both teams are kind of lacking in that support role. Both teams actually kind of have heroes that kind of mirror each other as far as their farm role goes. We have like Batrider, Undying, and TA, Tinker, and Lifestealer, Gyrocopter. So we're really missing those 5 roles, the 5 support roles, maybe the 3, 4 as well. So that means both of these teams are going to be looking to both ban out and pick heroes like that. And when you have a situation like this, it gets very interesting because the teams have to ask themselves, okay, what do we want the other team not to have? What do we want to get ideally? What do we think that the other team are going to ban out? And what would we be able to make work? That's a lot of questions you have to ask, and well, sometimes there just isn't a good answer, and you end up having to pick a witch doctor or something like that. Most likely not going to see that right here. Team Dignitas going to ban out two very, very solid support heroes in the Bane Elemental as well as the Shadow Demon, two heroes that will work very, very well with a tri-lane, so that's what they want to eliminate from the Team Liquid side. Team Liquid choosing to ban out the Windrunner. It's a pretty interesting choice. Windrunner usually isn't played in a support role, usually is on that hard lane. Team Dignitas, with their lanes, they have, once again, some flexibility. However, the lanes that they have is what it seems to be. You know, one hero, Batrider, is going to go to one lane, TA is going to go to the other lane, and Lifestealer is going to go to the other lane. So there's not really much room for more similar bans to get those solo lanes going. Regardless, what's done is done, so they are going to see the Windrunner eliminated from this game. They're also going to go for the Lone Druid, getting rid of another hard lane hero. So Team Liquid must know something that I don't, or Fluff, I guess, must know something that I don't. Team Dignitas, well, they do have a Templar Assassin, Batrider, who usually both take solo lanes. And you, unfortunately, cannot have 4 lanes in the game. Perhaps Team Dignitas is planning on running the Batrider in the jungle in some sort of way, in which case these long lane bans from Liquid will make a little bit of sense. Team Dignitas' ban of the Bounty Hunter would make sense versus Team Liquid's lineups because they don't really have that they don't really have that long lane hero, and we're also gonna be seeing a Visage ban out from Team Liquid. Would be a very potent hero to go into an aggressive tri-lane from Team Dignitas. However, he's not exactly seen. Only a very, very few amount of teams actually pick and utilize that hero. I know Liquid is one of them. Fluff plays a pretty mean Visage, however you say that. I'm not sure if Dignitas is one of those teams, and well, there are actually a good deal of support heroes that got through the pool. If Team Dignitas want to pick up something like Alina, would have a very potent combination with that Lifestealer. LSA is pretty much guaranteed once you open someone's wounds. And of course there's Disruptor, there's Venomancer, all those other support heroes as well. So the support hero pool is still pretty wide, a lot wider than I thought it would actually be. And let's see what Team Dignitas are going to pick up. They do still have 10 seconds on the clock, and they're going to go for the Rubik. That is going to be one of their support heroes. Let's see if they want to pick up a secondary one and go for something like an offensive tri-lane. Rubik will have some good stuff to steal. Rubik could pick up any of Tinker's spells that really hurt the Team Liquid side a lot. Of course, Call Down as well as anything, as well as a Tombstone from Undying. Good spells to steal. And Team Liquid, they're gonna go with the Clockwork. Banning out that Bounty Hunter from the long lane isn't really gonna phase Liquid, picking up that Clockwork relatively quickly. I'm probably going to see him head towards the hard lane, and well, we're going to see how well he does. Most likely it's not going to be that great because he will be either up against an aggressive tri-lane from Team Dignitas or a Batrider, and in either of those situations, Clockwork, well, he's a melee hero. He is decently tanky, but I wouldn't exactly classify him as a hero with a huge amount of lane control. Surprisingly enough, one hero that is still in the pool but picked up by neither side is the Darkseer, and Darkseer is one of those heroes that you usually see picked up first or second, and yet here we are at the 5th slot and we are not seeing anything like that. Team Dignitas is going to cap off their lineup with a Magnus, so they do have a lot of powerful farm and experience oriented heroes on their team, so we're going to see what they are going to do with that. But yeah, as I was saying, the Darkseer surprisingly not being picked up, Team Liquid even opting for Clockwork instead. Usually if you're going to look for a hard lane hero, it's can I get my hands on a Darkseer, can I get my hands on a Bounty Hunter? If not, crap, I have to think of something else. But the fact that Darkseer looks like he's possibly not going to be seen in this game at all is really surprising. That's like seeing a Morphling not being picked in TI2. It just doesn't happen. But anyway, Team Dignitas, they do have a ton of damage. The only problem for them that I see is their laning, because once again, Magnus, Lifestealer, TA, and Batrider all reliant on their lanes pretty heavily. But at the same time, that does mean they're going to get a little bit of flexibility, but I don't know, will it be worth it? The Magnus Lifesteal combo is very, very potent. You get that in power on the Lifesteal, and even you get Lifestealer to invest in, well, Magnus, Templar Assassin, and Batrider will all have gap closers, so you will have that Naix bomb. So Team Dignitas do have a very solid late game damaging role. And if they could stretch the game to 40-50 minutes, I don't think there's going to be much that Team Liquid could do, just because Dignitas will have so much damage on their side, so much control. Good deal of stuns on the Dignitas side, where Liquid, not so much. The only real stun they have is that homing missile, which of course takes a million years. The Clockwork will have a slew of crowd control effects, but they're kind of wonky and very melee range. If that hookshot doesn't land, then your stun isn't as guaranteed. Their last pick on Team Liquid is going to be the Enchantress heading towards that jungle, so we're probably going to see Tinker and Clockwork solo lanes with a tri-lane for Team Liquid. We're 2.5 with the Enchantress. So let's actually see how this is going to play out. Team Dignitas, the name of the game for them is extend the game. If they get AoE a lot of farm, if they get sneaking a lot of farm, then they'll be doing a lot of damage. Get the Blink Dagger onto Universe, get the Blink Dagger onto Tides, and this guy... way too sexy? We're gonna see, yes, he is way too sexy. For some reason, just going by the name PP, playing the Rubik, sneaking is going to be playing the Templar Assassin. Tides is going to be playing Batrider. Universe is on that Magnetar, and AoE 2000 is going to be playing the Lifestealer, heading all of them up to the top lane. On the Liquid side, we see Fluff and Stuff playing the Enchantress. TC is on the Clockwork. Goblin, IX Mike is playing that Undying. Bulba is on the Tinker, and that leaves Korok as the hard carry on the Gyrocopter. So as the lanes shape up, we're actually going to see what they want to do. We do have a Templar Assassin who did not spend all of her gold, so that does signify a quick bottle. But we also see a Batrider who spent none of his gold, so that could also signify a quick bottle. Sneaking, however, is known for his Templar Assassin. So we could see... We're probably most likely going to see a solo lane out of that. And Batrider, could he possibly be gearing up for a jungle? Now, Batrider jungle is definitely a very powerful... Oh, hello. Always got to get that Bastion. Tides on that Batrider isn't the most powerful jungle.
And away we go.
Oh, beautiful. Just because the Batrider is... I mean, he's decent. He's good jungle. But the fact that he's so powerful in lane and needs a lot of experience usually means that you want to get that Batrider in a lane. You want him to actually kill the opponent, get a couple of levels from that, get extra gold, get the quick Blink Dagger. And the jungle is typically a little bit more of an emergency maneuver. If you are getting squished in the lane for whatever reason, you just abandon ship, you go to the jungle and you try to find your farm there. It looks like Dignitas went into this game kind of fully expecting that Batrider to go into the jungle. So we're going to see how things actually shape up for him. He's going to go straight boots. That is probably going to be jungling, keep himself away from the creeps, because really what else could he do? He could try to gank with some napalm, but that's about it. He's going to try to stack this up as much as he can, and then just Firefly them all down. Or, yeah, stack this up, and then get level 2, and then burn things down. On the bottom lane, it is going to be Universe going up against Korok, Magnus on the hard lane. Very classic way to lane that hero, at least classic as of late. And Korok is going to have such an easy time. The Magnus is forced so far back. He has no idea where IX Mikey is. He has no idea where Fluff and Stuff is. And for all he knows, that they could be both right here just waiting to kill that Magnus. So Korok is getting all of the space in the world without any help from his teammates. Fluff and Stuff is just clearing off the hard camps, and IX Mike, well, he's stacking up the easy camp, possibly for Tinker to nuke down with 1 or 2 points of that March in the Machines. So just the way that these lanes are shaping up for Liquid, having one hero solo on the bot lane versus pretty much no one on the other end is very, very good for them, clearly. We speed this up just a little bit. TC is on the hard lane. He does have his points of Rocket Flare. 3 creep kills, but Aoi is most likely going to be getting a lot more farm a lot more quickly. Look at that, that's crazy. Lifestealer just chomping at something. Way too sexy. He actually changed his name, good. he's going to be supporting. But the great thing about what Liquid is having right now is that their quote-unquote support, which is supposed to be the Undying, supposed to be the Enchantress, they're not actually actively pressuring the lane. They're doing their own thing, and that means that they're getting their own sources of income, both experience and gold. When we see IX Mike even using the mid lane pull to deny some experience to that TA in the mid lane, and while taking a lot of damage, I don't know why. He just wants to get hit by those spears. He's gonna just save it up for another pull. He's gonna get another 2 creeps. Well done by IX Mike. Liquid Bulba getting a lot of help from this lane. Don't think he actually needed 5 for 4 versus 2 for 2, so the Tinker is actually holding on to this lane pretty well. And so far as the lane is shaping up, I do have to favor Liquid just a little bit. Even TC getting a little bit of the pulling action going on. However, Owie is going to deny that as quickly as he possibly can. Sneaking now with Invisibility Rune, still does not even have his bottle. With only 2 CS 2 minutes into the game, he's really struggling to get that bottle up. And TA, you really need that bottle so you could keep spamming out the refraction, make last hitting a lot easier, make harassment a lot easier. And without that, the Tinker should have his bottle on the way. Yes, he does. So we're going to be seeing many March of the Machines. Sneaking, finally going to spot out IX Mike. Let's see if he wants to make anything happen. He doesn't have any meld. And IX Mike is pretty darn tanky, even though he is tanking these easy creeps. Fluff, on the other hand, has been farming the entire time. Level 3 versus the level 2 Magnus. Korok is level 4. So Korok is just AFK farming as per usual, and Fluff and stuff kind of doing the same thing. He even has straight Gloves of Haste from level 1. Very peculiar on Enchantress. Now, when you see this build on the Nature's Prophet, first thing you think of is, hey, he's going for Hand of Midas. And that works for Nature's Prophet because he could bounce around all around the map, get the farm, get a lot of experience, make use of it. Whereas Enchantress, she usually doesn't go for a Hand of Midas, and if she does, it's not exactly an item that she straight up rushes. However, I suppose the recognition that Korok will not need any help with Universe on this bot lane means that the Enchantress doesn't actually have to pressure anyone out, and that she could go for a little bit more of a farm-oriented role. She could get that Hand of Midas out, maybe get a quick Aghanim Scepter. She could do a lot of damage. So Fluff and stuff is getting a little bit more freedom than he usually gets, or getting more freedom than anyone usually gets, honestly, on that Enchantress. So we're going to see what he wants to do with this, if that's actually going to be a Hand of Midas, or if he's going to dip into this lane for a little bit of aggression. Looks like he doesn't really want to disturb this lane at all. Korok is having the time of his life. 22 CS, 4 minutes into the game. That is absolutely huge for him. And it's really showing no signs of stopping. Korok pressuring back Universe so easily. He already has those Tranquil Boots, whereas Universe does not. And going for 3 points in Rocket Barrage, signifying that he wants to be a little bit aggressive. He is getting the complete free farm on this lane. However, he is choosing to go for the spell that will actually help once the aggression pours on. And it doesn't look like the aggression is going to pour on just yet, but Korok is holding strong onto this lane all by himself. Enough about that. Owie kind of having the same thing happen on the other side. 26 for 5. Actually is doing pretty well, staying toe-to-toe with that Gyrocopter. Clockwork is level 4 versus the level 3 from Magnus, so that Missile, Rocket Flare, doing a little bit of help towards TC on this top lane, but the Rocket Flare will only do so much versus this push. Do they have any ring up facilities? No, it's just Owie and Way Too Sexy doing a little bit of damage to this tower. They cannot actually take it quite yet, but this is a lot of easy experience for TC to just sit back and absorb, and as he grows closer and closer to that level 6 mark, well, he's going to be able to leave this lane, which quite frankly isn't really working out for him, and try to go do something else, possibly gank up, sneaking in the mid lane. IX Mike in the meantime stacking up Ancients for that Tinker. If you're playing with the Tinker and you want to be a good guy, you stack up the Ancients, because 1 or 2 casts of March in the Machines and those things are dead. It usually means a straight up Boots of Travel. You get a ton of gold from that. Now we're going to see Bulba if he wants to go to those Ancients right now, or actually when he wants to go for those Ancients. Right now he's holding strong into this lane, sneaking, having a couple of problems here. He does have his bottle, and he is bottle crowing, but the constant threat of Fluff and stuff going to the jungle actually did go for Hand of Midas, combined with the fact that the Clockwork easily trap out and kill the Templar Assassin means that the rune control is going to easily go towards Bulba. Did have a haste rune just a little bit ago, and you can see Liquid all over these runes. It's going to be an illusion on the bot lane, and Bulba's going to snatch that one up. Sneaking doesn't even have a chance to get down there. 6 minutes in, we still have yet to see a first blood, and the gold earned slowly climbing the way of Liquid. This is partially because they have a full jungling hero, whereas, well, we have Tides, technically a full jungling hero. However, the speed at which Enchantress jungles typically is a lot faster than the Batrider. Level 6 on him, though, and, well, he is 600 away from a Blink Dagger if he wants to straight up rush that. The fact that Liquid has a Hand of Midas on their side, not on a primary carry, is a little bit peculiar, but it is giving them a lot of gold and experience income nonetheless. Enchantress has hit that level 6 mark rather quickly, and putting a couple points into stats, 2 points into that, does signify that he wants to go do a little bit of damage. In Liquid, they do have the Gyrocopter, who will be fulfilling a damaging role, at least later on. They'll also have the nice pure damage of the Impetus to kind of help out with that. Something that we don't see every day, and looks like Fluff is actually taking a visit down to this bot lane, but you don't want to disturb Korok. He's getting absolute free farm, as is Owie, however. Thing is way too sexy. Has been supporting him pretty actively, keeping back TC off this lane, whereas IX Mike has been stacking. He's only level 3, so he's not exactly having the most levels gained or most gold income, but he's investing all of his time, basically spending his hero's well-being in order to increase the well-being of this Tinker. Tinker does have 900 gold, so he's going to be working towards, oh no, maybe not. Here comes Tides right over the cliff with Firefly. The Tombstone does drop, but Liquid Bulba is going to be trapped within that Flame Break. Within that lasso, I'm sorry. And Sneaking does draw first blood.
Until it has been spilled.
And we are going, I should figure out how to disable that chat. That's kind of annoying. But either way, Bulba does die in the mid lane. Luckily for him, he does instantly buy up that soul ring as soon as he realized he was going to die, so no real gold loss for him. However, Sneaking with that kill is going to equalize this lane at least a little bit. He actually went for treads, very interesting. Usually TA does go for the mobility and damage of the phase boots. I guess he does value that survivability just a little bit more, so Sneaking is going to be very happy about that kill. And Liquid, well, Axe Mike got away with his life. It could have been a lot worse, but the fact that the Batrider jungled very quickly definitely caught Liquid a little bit off guard, whereas Fluff has been kind of doing the AFK farming thing, you know, very Lycan-esque. The Batrider, once he hits that level 6, he could come out and actually get kills. Bulba's got to be wary of that. He does have wards right now, and he does have TC to back him up as well. But the wards won't help you if the entire enemy team is smoked up and coming down on you. Way too sexy. Doing a very, very weird ward. I didn't even know you could ward there, man. That's actually pretty cool. What is the hotkey for Dire Sight? Well, Creep Wave is here, so I'll look at that a little bit later. That's a very, very weird ward. I did not even realize that was wardable. Way too sexy. That is very, very cool. Top lane is currently being pushed in by Owie TC. Does have his level 6. And he could do something similar to what Tides did to the mid lane of Bulba. However, TC is going to have to get that line up right, and Sneaking will have that meld available, so they're also going to need to get some true set if they actually want to kill her off, or, you know, get many, many March of the Machines. Lysealer has gone for a Hand of Midas of his own. You know, why not? It's a very classic hero to get that Hand of Midas on, and Korok on the bot lane instead, not opting to go for a Hand of Midas, even though he is getting so much gold. He's holding on to it, 3,000 for some reason. Possibly just to be a surprise. It's not going to be a Hand of Midas at this point. If you're going for Hand of Midas, you buy that sucker up as quickly as you can. And the longer you wait, it's just wasted gold. But 3,100 now, what could it possibly be? It could be a Shadow Blade, and he could try to surprise people. He does have 4 points in that Rocket Barrage, opening up with that bonus damage on hit, and then following up with Rocket Barrage call down. That is probably going to get a kill, unless you're focusing someone who is extraordinarily tanky, but I don't know, maybe Lifestealer could survive that. Possibly. He does have that rage. Universe, not yet level 6 on his own, whereas TC does have the edge there. So even though the first blood did go to Dignitas, we should still be seeing an advantage going the way of Liquid, albeit barely. Now that Bulba's getting those ancient stacks on, he will be able to get his boots to travel relatively quickly. However, Dignitas, they know that this is happening. This was anti-warded, counter-warded by Liquid, but they still do see the March of the Machines. It is clear as day. But still, Bulba's getting some pretty good farm. Only about 600 gold away from those busy travel. TC might get caught out. Tide's going to find him. He's going to open up with that lasso and pull TC out of the cogs. The cog actually helping him out a little bit. There's a telekinesis onto TC, bringing him back in. He's going to hookshot down into Owie. Not sure if that's exactly where you want to go, but Owie now is in a lot of trouble. Korok did buy up that Shadow Blade, and who is he going to jump on? Who is it going to be? It is going to be Owie taking the missiles as well as the Rocket Barrage. Just needs one more right click, but the Sonic Trap actually saving him as he jumps into Universe. He does have that reverse polarity. He's going to skewer into Korok. Korok's taking an awful lot of damage. The impetus from long range is going to pick off Universe, and now Owie is going to barely slip away with his life. Korok, with the invisibility, though, is going to chase him down. He is going to give up, however, going to settle for sneaking as well as for way too sexy. So Owie does get away, which is very important for Dignitas, but still they have lost 3 in exchange for none. TC using that hook shot very, very well to actually get out of that fight. Looks like he was going to get brought down by Owie once he got in, but hell, he managed to make it work, and that is should be the Tinker's Boost Travel. Looks like he didn't get picked off. Well, Bulba will have the Boots of Travel very, very shortly regardless, so Liquid taking a very, very good fight there. Dignitas, unfortunately, did not use that reverse polarity. The reverse polarity most likely would have meant the death of Gyrocopter. However, Dignitas now do know that Gyro has spent his money on a Shadow Blade, so they're going to have to know to pack around Dust. Way Too Sexy is already on that, does have a couple Sentry Wards. So Korok has revealed his hand. 12-minute Shadow Blade, even though it is technically revealing your hand, it is a very powerful hand to reveal, and it's a surprise, yes, but now the enemy's team is still going to be scared regardless. Fluff and Stuff. With that Hand of Midas, went straight for a Void Stone. Could this be a Hand of Midas Sheepstick Rush? Who do you think you are, Enchantress? This is not Nature's Prophet right now. You usually don't see Enchantresses being played like this, because Enchantress is typically an aggressive early game hero. You take control of the creeps, you push down the lane, whichever lane is closest to the jungle that you're in. Take tier 1, possibly take a tier 2 depending on the other 2 heroes, and then after that you settle into a more support utility role. But not this game. Fluff and Stuff has had enough of that. He's going to break the mold, go for Hand of Midas as well as a fast Sheepstick. And that is going to be fairly effective against a TA, who's probably going to be heading towards her Blink Dagger. BKB is going to be a long ways off, and even though the Enchantress is still a ways away from her own Sheepstick, the Enchantress with a Hand of Midas does have the capability to get the Sheepstick before the TA gets a BKB, or a Hexon to Batrider even, will be very useful, because once again, Liquid don't exactly have the most reliable of stuns. They do have the Clockwork, who has a little bit of crowd control, but if someone gets lassoed in, which is now going to be very easy given that the Batrider does have a Blink Dagger, you want something a little bit more reliable to cancel that lasso out. And that item is going to be coming out of Fluff and Stuff, of all people. So very, very interesting way to play this, very appropriate way to play this, just kind of unexpected. Tinker now with Boots of Travel is going to be farming up all around the map, so the map pressure from Liquid is now going to officially begin. Meantime, Korok pushing down this bottom tower. Universe has picked up his Arcane Boots, so he's going to spam out this Shockwave all day long. The question is, will it be enough? Because if Korok he's getting 1 or 2 hits every single time. Shockwave or not, this tower is slowly going to get worked down unless he gets some support. And that support might be coming in the form of Batrider. Tide's flying himself down there. Possibly try to get a gank on the Gyrocopter. If those 2 heroes get that Gyrocopter killed, that would be absolutely huge. TC going to hookshot in, but hit a creep, unfortunately. That will reveal Bulba as well, who is sitting there with an invisibility rune, sneaking. He's going to just barely make it out of there alive. In the meantime, HiX Mike, level 7, involved in 3 of those assists from that previous team fight in the bot lane. Korok is getting lassoed in. Are they going to use reverse polarity for this one? Universe is taking an awful lot of damage. There's reverse polarity as well as Central Ward. Korok is going to go down to the Batrider. Owie has teleported down here as well, kind of uncharacteristically of a life stealer, leaving the top lane in order to help on what seemed to be a for sure gank. The Gyrocopter has gone down. Shadow Blade was not there to help him. Reverse polarity though, lasso, as well as a couple TPs were used. However, Dignitas will be okay with making that trade if it means the death of the Gyrocopter, and most likely will mean a little more damage on the spot tier 1 tower if the creep wave could actually get there anytime soon.
Boom, there it goes.
Liquid did drop the gyrocopter there, but he already has a ton of farm, almost does have his drums as well. So he's going to have a ton of mobility. The wind speed on that hero is going to be absolutely insane. Yeah, IX Mike finding levels where, quite frankly, it seemed like levels were impossible to find. I guess chilling right next to the Ancients does get you a lot of experience, Bulba. Doesn't need the experience. He could share. Of course, Tinker does do well with a lot of experience. Get the high levels of laser, missile, get that rearm to a lower cooldown. The fact that they now have a maxed out Tombstone with Undying, who was, I don't even want to say jungling because it was Enchantress who was jungling. Undying was, you know, just farming around in the jungle, and he made things happen. Korok is going to find Tides of Time. I guess the Batrider just took a full face of Rocket Barrage, and then that was the end of it. So my apologies for missing that one. Yeah, the fact that IX Mike found so much farm, or found so many levels, is quite frankly impressive. Dying was, he barely touched any lane, and okay, Gyrocopter. Korok, do I really have to watch you this entire time? Okay, I'll watch you, Korok, fine. I will. The rest of Liquid is pushing down the mid tier 1, whereas Universe and Aoi on the bot lane have to fight up against a fortified tower. They should be able to take this down. No. Looks like IX Mike as well as Fluff and Stuff going to rotate down. No, Fluff and Stuff isn't. He's just going to keep farming. Enchantress, 17 minutes in, has been farming the entire game. Did he even leave the lane once to get a kill? I don't think he did. Korok is going to come onto Sneaking Invisible, and that refraction is not going to last. Oh, but TC misses the hook shot, and Sneaking is going to get away yet again. The cogs miss as well. Teleportation coming in. It's going to be Universe, and Tides is going to find Bulba. The Skewer is going to pull Bulba out, as well as the Reverse Polarity. Aoi does pick up a double kill from that exchange. Once again, using a lot of resources to do so. But hey, kills are kills, especially on the high-valued target of the Tinker.
Guess what's happening?
And now Fluff going to use his Wildkin, or Wild Wing, I'm sorry, to tank this tower while he does take it down. But Dignitas, they know that two of the most dangerous heroes from Liquid are down. No March of the Machines to cancel off the Roshan. With the Meld minus armor, they should be able to take this down relatively easily. And Power is only level 1. That will start to rack up. We do have Sneaking picking up that Aegisly the Immortal. Sneaking is going to be extraordinarily dangerous unless he's the one getting initiated upon. Korok being so very aggressive on this Gyrocopter. Usually Gyrocopter see a little bit more passive farming, but not this game. He's going to find Tides. He's going to demolish his HP pool. Oh, almost enough to take him down. Living at 150 health. But yeah, usually Gyrocopter, especially on a team that is constructed like Liquid's, is going to be the one farming. Because you have the Tinker to be aggressive. You have the Clockwork to be aggressive. You don't need another hero to be aggressive. Unless Liquid just want to pour on the heat, which is exactly what they're doing right now. Bulba just farming up neutrals still with TC. He's waiting for someone to come to this top lane so that they could jump him. But I am fairly certain that Dignitas is aware of the situation, so they're going to try to avoid this. Or they're just going to go straight in. Aoi with a Javelin, most likely going to head towards a Basher. Try to stick on his targets just a little bit more. He's definitely doing the damage. However, Liquid is just finding the picks off, especially with this Gyrocopter. Pretty much only with the Gyrocopter. Fluff and Stuff. 19 minutes in, Handamitis Sheep Stick on the Enchantress. And why not? You get that sheep going, a nice solid disable.
You know the drill.
Not sure if they actually planned on doing something like that, but whatever works, man. Whatever works. We got to keep our eyes on Fluff as he heads towards the top lane. Help with this push on the top tier 1 tower, but it looks like this push doesn't actually need any help. Korok and TC are proving to be more than enough for that, and we have Tides diving very, very deep to put down a ward. Was that seen? I don't think it was. The missiles are going to fly out, and now we're going to see Dignitas. They want to open up. They're going to open up on IX Mike. There's the hook shot in from TC. He's going to catch 2. Sneaking. Already burned through his Aegis right now, and IX Mike is staying at very, very high levels of HP. Korok is going to unleash his entire Rocket Barrage on Aoi, and he's going to go down as well. Sneaking is on the run. Doesn't have Refraction. Does have Meld. Is that going to help him, actually? Yes, it will for the moment, but no, Dust. And that's going to be the rest of the Templar Assassin's HP pool. Way too sexy, even getting caught off by Bulba. Very aggressive chasing with that Blink Dagger. Or did he just teleport to the top lane? Yeah, I'm pretty sure he just teleported to the top lane. Caught out way too sexy. Now Tides is in a little bit of trouble as well. Korok is going to find him with that Shadow Blade Rocket Barrage, annihilating that Batrider. It's a full team wipe from Team Liquid. I said in the draft that Dignitas needed this game to go for very long. Especially considering what Liquid have, but Liquid do have a lot of early game power. Dignitas perhaps tried to pick a fight where they should not have.
To that mid-tower.
The lead is only 10-4, so it's not the hugest of leads, but you can see how confident Korok is right now, burning his call down to kill a creep wave, and, well, unfortunately for him, Rubik now could call down a couple of missiles. So Team Liquid is going to have to be a little bit wary about that. But they do have a Sheepstick 1 on the way, and possibly another one coming up on the Tinker. Dignitas, are they going to engage on this, or are they going to let this tower fall? They just got team wiped, so they might not be too certain about letting that happen. However, Magnus did save his reverse polarity, and now with the call down in addition, they might be willing to actually make a defense there. Keep in mind the fight in this mid lane area was with the Aegis as well. That was burned immediately. TC got with that clutch hook shot, getting 2. Very, very good hook shot. Finally, making up for all the whiffs. Tides is going to be infested by the Lifestealer. He's going to open up right away. There's the Firefly, just getting a little bit of vision. Liquid, who's it going to be? It is going to be Korok. Owie pops out. Can they take out Korok before any of this happens? Universe trying to get his ultimate off, but it's not going to happen. Pushed away by the Cogs. The Batrider is going to fly off the map. Liquid Fluff is going to take a lot of damage from Owie, but Korok is just standing his ground, killing the Lifestealer. And Bulba's going to blink forward, going to try to catch Way Too Sexy. IX Mike is going to pick that up with the help of Bulba. And there's the GG call, 22 minutes in. Dignitas have had enough. That, I kind of want to say it was a premature GG. They could have held out, but they were definitely behind, and Magnus unfortunately skewered right into the Cogs, which pushed him away. Then he got instantly hexed by the very fast hex stick of Enchantress. So that fight was just very unfortunate for Team Dignitas. Got the perfect initiation, however, just couldn't come together. So that is going to be game 1 between Liquid and Dignitas, ladies and gentlemen. We're just waiting for Fluff to get himself out of this game. There it goes. Thanks for watching, guys. Game 2 is coming up. Let's see if Dignitas could put up a stronger showing, or we'll see if Liquid just rolls right past him. If you enjoyed this, please like, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you didn't, please let me know what I could do in the future to better deliver you good content. That's going to be for me, guys. GG.